We heard Vice President Harris last night saying that she would like to debate President Trump again. Do you think there should be another debate?
I leave that up to them. I think the choice is extremely clear. On the one side, you got a guy who created the best economy we may have ever seen before the pandemic. On the other side, you've got Kamala Harris, who's been asleep at the wheel for 4 years as they have destroyed the economy for middle-class Americans and people that are trying to climb that prosperity ladder. You got a wide open border, you got criminals and terrorists coming across it, and you've got instability all around the world because of their lack of a clear and stated foreign policy. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance provide an economy that works for everyone. He did it once before, he'll do it again. He sealed the border once before, he'll do it again. They'll deal with the crime that we have across our communities. These people aren't. The choice is pretty easy.
All right, guys, so before we get into this video, we have to acknowledge the tragedy that has struck parts of Georgia, North Carolina, and Tennessee due to Hurricane Helene, which has caused mass flooding, destruction, and disaster across those states. You have whole towns, like, for example, Chimney Rock, North Carolina, that has just been wiped out. Okay, and the imagery is devastating. It really is. You know, you have towns like Asheville that have been completely flooded. People have lost their homes. They've lost their livelihoods. And it's really just a terrible situation. North Carolina is very near and dear to me, okay? And the only thing I'm asking for is your thoughts and prayers. And hopefully we get the federal response that they deserve in order to help remedy this situation. But I just want to acknowledge the tragedy that has happened before I get into this video. So with that being said, we have to talk about this CNBC panel interview featuring Gina Raimondo, who is the Commerce Secretary for the Biden administration. Now, we all know that these individuals who are working for the Biden administration, they're in over their skis. Okay, I mean, this is the same woman who seemed to not be aware of the devastating bombshell report that came from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, basically showing that all of those jobs that Biden created in 2023, a lot of them, upwards of about 1 million, were fake. Okay, and also she's the same person that called for getting rid of Trump for good. Take a look.
When you hear that, do you potentially think that this new numbers could be a liability for this campaign?
No, when I hear that, first of all, I don't believe it because I've never heard Donald Trump say anything truthful.
It is, though, from the Bureau of Labor.
I'm not familiar with that.
What he says is the opposite. It's just another lie. Like, how did we get here? Let's extinguish him for good. We have an answer. We have a remarkably talented candidate who is sincere, who's pragmatic, who's open. Let's just get it done.
Yeah, so what you have here is a Commerce Secretary working for the Biden administration not being aware of a bombshell report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics showing that, hey, Biden's jobs that he created, they were fake, okay? And then she says, well, I don't believe the report because Trump said it, right? Although Trump accurately cited the report, okay? And when presented with the facts and evidence, she says, well, hey, I'm not familiar with that, okay? So again, you can see here that they're not hiring the best people, right? They're not putting the best people in charge, which is why this woman went on national television and tried to make the argument that Trump and his economic policies would basically cause a recession, right? And let's just say that did not work out too well in this interview on CNBC. So without further ado, let's get into it.
But also, I just think, look, we have had a soft landing, okay? Inflation, we haven't slayed it totally. It is on the way down. We need stability, predictability. And what you will have in him is unpredictable, chaotic, based upon how he feels on a particular day. And I do worry that the tariffs, but last week he said a 200% tariff on John Deere. Where does that come from? That will only raise prices and put people out of work at John Deere.
When
so
we've had
we can't afford
on,
it. It is way too risky.
When we've had surrogates on for the Trump campaign, they have said that he doesn't really mean any of these things. They would just be tools for negotiation.
Then why does he say them? Why?
Well, because it's a tool for negotiation. She just told you that, right? She just told you. Now, what Trump has been doing, he's been telling certain companies like John Deere, listen, if you outsource jobs overseas, okay, if you damage American workers, right, then hey, there's going to be a price to pay. This is what he's saying, okay? I mean, we've had parts of this country, particularly rural America, that have been devastated by the outsourcing of jobs, right? And Trump wants to keep good American jobs here, right? So he's basically negotiating, right? He's sending a warning. He's saying, listen, under my watch, we're not going to be doing all that, okay? That's what Trump is saying. Does that mean that he's going to be applying tariffs across the board? No, right? He's not going to do that. Trump is a businessman, okay? And as a businessman, he's always negotiating, right? And see, this is the thing about these conversations. Again, you're not being intellectually honest if you think that Trump actually is going to do that, right? And the thing is, you got to understand, when you're dealing with these foreign countries, okay, Trump is one of the few presidents that has made it very clear we're not going to let these other countries take advantage of us, right? We want more fair deals when it comes to trade. And listen, I'm not a fan of tariffs, right? I'm not a fan of tariffs, but I do understand what Trump is trying to do. I do understand the negotiation process that he's currently trying to go through openly while he's running for president, okay? But what we do know is that under his economy, right, all these things that these people are claiming didn't happen, okay? In regards to it being an economic disaster, that did not happen, okay? And what we also know is that Democrats, for as much as they want to fearmonger about Trump talking about tariffs, they agree with Trump's tariffs because they chose to keep them in place, particularly the tariffs on China, right? And it's just so funny how that works, right? They boo-hoo, whine, and cry about something Trump did, but yet they didn't undo it, right? They actually are continuing what he did while at the same time boo-hoo, whining, and crying about what he did as if it was such a terrible thing when we all know, based off the facts and the evidence, that what he didn't really hurt the economy too much, right? In fact, Trump's economy was booming despite what he did. So I'm just saying, Democrats have no leg to stand on when it comes to this conversation about tariffs.
Why would I believe that? He says it. He's doubled down on it. He repeats it. By the way, he was president. We know what that resulted in. Massive
Seems like you kind of forgot that. Seems like you kind of forgot that earlier. Yeah, and the tariffs that he did put on were continued by the Biden administration. There was no recession. Real wages were actually up. Stock market did well. A lot of very positive things happened. Record low unemployment until the pandemic. So it's just weird to act like it's a complete wild card what kind of president he would be when you've got a blueprint right there of what kind of president he would be. And
facts. I mean, that's basically what this comes down to. It's not that hard, guys, right? It's really not, okay? When it comes to the economy, we have a proven track record of success, okay, on one side, and then we have a proven track record of failure on the other side, okay? Under Biden and Kamala Harris, we had an actual recession. A lot of people feel as if we are in a recession right now, but we had an actual recession, by definition, 2 consecutive quarters of declining GDP growth that happened at the beginning of 2022. And then the liberal economists came out and changed the definition of a recession just so that they could declare that, hey, we're not really in a recession. Although, again, by definition, we were in a recession. Again, a lot of people feel like we still are in a recession, but that is what has happened under Biden administration, okay? We've had out of control inflation that peaked in 2022, upwards of 9%, okay? Which, again, a lot of people think that's on the low end, right? A lot of people think that's underestimating how bad inflation actually was at the time, okay? But in recent history, again, out of control inflation, savings rate, okay? The average American is not saving anything anymore. And you know this because our consumer debt is also at a historic high, and that, along with elevated interest rates, that is crushing the American people, okay? People are having to borrow money just to survive, just to afford the necessities, okay? Because wages have not kept up with inflation under the Biden administration. These are the facts, right? And under Trump administration, we didn't have any of these problems, okay? People could afford a home. Interest rates were historically low with no inflation, right? With barely any inflation. Okay, real wages were rising. We had people lifting themselves up out of poverty. The Trump administration, they were getting people off of food stamps, okay? Getting them off the government teat, right? They were holding their own. Income inequality, the gap between the rich and the poor was closing, okay? Because of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that massively benefited those at the bottom, okay? It did. Despite what Democrats say, oh, well, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was just for the rich. It benefited the rich. Well, if that's the case, then Democrats should let the Trump tax cuts for the middle class expire, right? If they were just for the rich, then the Democrats should let them expire, right? But if they let the Trump tax cuts expire, then what will happen is that effectively there will be an increase in taxes on the middle class, which is something that Democrats promised they wouldn't do. So they've kind of put themselves in a very interesting situation if they just so happen to win in regards to what they're going to do with the Trump tax cuts that were supposedly only for the rich, but yet they actually benefited the middle class, right? If they choose not to extend those tax cuts, you will get a tax increase. And then Democrats will turn around and gaslight you. They will lie to your face as your check decreases because you're paying more taxes, right, to the government. They'll turn around and lie to you and say, no, you don't understand. We didn't extend those tax cuts because they were just for the rich, right? But yet you're the one that's going to take the hit, right? That's what's going to happen, okay? I promise you that's what's going to happen.
Kamala Harris has been vice president for 4 years, and we've seen exactly what kind of vice president she would be.
Right. What have you seen? You've seen more manufacturing in this country since any time since World War II.
I've seen real wages go down. I've seen, crime.
That's not true.
What's not true?
I just don't agree with that.
Real weekly wages have gone down. Average weekly wages are still down from when Biden came into office.
When Biden came into office, we saw sky-high unemployment, sky-high
pandemic, but
inflation.
Prior to that, but before the pandemic, it was 3 points.
But we've discussed this. You can't discount the Trump administration. You can't say the economy was great during the Trump administration
until the pandemic.
If you somehow exclude the pandemic and then turn around
if you want to do the pandemic, fine. But prior to that, the economic policies resulted in a very good economy.
But then you can't then say, well, the economy was somehow terrible during the Biden administration and pretend the pandemic didn't happen.
Part of the inflation that caused real wages to be down is from the pandemic, but piling on all the stimulus and all the spending is what really exacerbated that situation. We've seen both presidents.
None of those things were related to the pandemic.
I just don't think you can say it's going to immediately be a recession when that didn't happen the first time.
Secretary?
Yeah, I mean, listen to this clown right here. Right? I think this guy's name is Andrew Sorkin. Okay. Again, I hate this argument from Democrats because this is not hard to understand, right? Everybody knows that the Trump economy was great before the pandemic. Everybody wants to blame Trump for what happened during the pandemic and the job losses as a result when Trump was not responsible for the virus, right? And Democrats are not proposing any policies that would have actually put the country in a better place during the pandemic than what Trump did, okay? Democrats signed up for the stimulus that happened under the Trump administration, right? I think we had 2 stimulus packages, technically, right, during the Trump administration. And also on top of that, they were pro-lockdown, right? Their governors were responsible for a vast majority of the job losses because they were the ones shutting down their states. They were the ones putting businesses out of business, putting people out of their jobs, okay? A vast majority of those job losses came because of the decisions of Democrat governors. And Democrats continue to support the lockdowns. They continue to support the unnecessary spending even when they got into power, right? I would not blame the Democrats for what happened during the pandemic, just like I don't really blame Trump for what happened during the pandemic, had it not been for the fact that Democrats decided to continue to double and to triple down on bad decisions, even after we got data suggesting that, hey, the economy was going to be fine in 2021. We didn't need any more stimulus, and we should have started to open back up the economy at the beginning of 2021. And that's what would have happened had Republicans won the Senate and Trump won the presidency, because we know Mitch McConnell was not trying to spend another dime, right? We would not have gotten the American Rescue Plan. And I think that people would have been encouraged to go back to work sooner, which would have put us in a better situation than we are right now. So, yes, I can blame the Democrats in the current state of the economy and connect it back to their pandemic era policies because they spent money unnecessarily because they wanted their own stimulus package. They wanted to say that, hey, listen, we gave stimulus checks too, right? This is what they wanted to do, okay? And because they decided to do that, because they made the wrong decision at a time in which it wasn't needed, it wasn't necessary, they have to take the blame. They have to take the blame. I'm not saying there would have been no inflation if the Republicans would have won, if Trump would have stayed in office. However, it would not have been as bad as it is right now, right? I mean, you can't spend trillions of dollars the way that we did and not get any inflation. And remember, the American Rescue Plan wasn't the only spending bill that Democrats passed. They also had the infrastructure bill, which has resulted in a whole bunch of spending that has basically produced nothing, okay, in regards to real infrastructure. And also on top of that, the Inflation Reduction Act, which was basically the Green New Deal light, okay? Those things also contributed to inflation as well too, right? So I don't want to hear nothing about, oh, well, you can't really hold the Democrats accountable for this bad economy because of the pandemic. No, Democrats made bad decisions in the face of data suggesting that they should not spend more money, that we should open up the economy, and they chose not to do it anyways, right? So yes, I am blaming them. And when Trump was in office and the pandemic happened, nobody knew what was happening. Nobody knew how deadly the virus actually was. Nobody knew anything, right? We were learning stuff at the time, right? So yes, I'm going to give Trump the benefit of the doubt because he was handling something that nobody knew what to do about, right? But when Democrats got in office, we had a lot more data to make better decisions, and they just chose to make bad decisions regardless of the data that we had, right? So yes, I am blaming them, and they should take most of the blame for the current state of this economy.
Madam Secretary,
I would just say 4 years ago, we were saying, could there be a soft landing? It's been a featherbed landing. Inflation's on its way down. Manufacturing is up. By the way, you know, deficits exploded under Trump.
Manufacturing's been flat for 2 years.
And now there is more new manufacturing construction in this country now than at any time since World War II. It's a fact. Manufacturing jobs are on the rise. Wages are on the rise. Prices are coming down. Deficits are high but headed in the right direction. And tariffs will hurt this economy, hurt working people, raise prices, and I worry tip us into a recession.
Wow. Deficits are headed in the right direction according to her, except that's just not factually true. I mean, you can take a look at this deficit chart here from the Department of the Treasury. In 2024, in August, 1.8 trillion is where we're at currently with where deficit is headed, okay, versus where we were in August of 2023. We were at 1.5 trillion. So the deficit is definitely not headed in the right direction. I don't think that anybody has had a soft landing, okay, except maybe the rich. But the people at the bottom have definitely had a hard landing when it comes to dealing with this economy and inflation, which has impacted them the most, okay? But these people want you to believe that, hey, if Trump is elected, we're going to go into a recession, right? His policies are so terrible. His tariffs are so terrible, except Democrats support those tariffs, those same tariffs that when Trump implemented did not result in a recession, did not result in inflation, did not result in massive price increases across the board. None of the things that these Democrats are currently fear-mongering about when it comes to Trump and these tariffs happened under his first administration. But again, it's just funny because they support what Trump did, right? While at the same time trying to tell you that what he's going to do in the future is going to be so terrible, except they supported what he did before. Again, it's fascinating, okay? The amount of gaslighting from these people, from these individuals, it really is astronomical, right? It is getting to the point where you'd be a fool, you'd be an idiot to believe anything that comes out of these people's mouths. Even the people that are working for the government that are supposed to know this stuff, they seem to not be the best and the brightest that we have. It really is a damn shame. But it really does speak to the judgment of the individuals like Biden and Kamala Harris that they have people like this woman working for the administration, which is why this country is in the current position that is in right now, especially when it comes to the economy. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.